Of course, I go by the name Kevin, but I also like to refer to myself as Mr. Irrelevant. So some of you guys are probably thinking, well, why is that? Well, some people here probably know that in the NFL draft, the last person taken in the draft is called Mr. Irrelevant. Now, I'm pretty darn sure that I was the last person admitted to the Sloan class of 2015, so I call myself the Mr. Irrelevant of the MIT Sloan MBA class of 2015. Now, this wasn't a surprise here to me at all. Did I have the undergrad GPA? Absolutely not. Did I have the test scores? No, definitely not that either. But what I did have was this story I'm about ready to tell you. September of 2011, I was on my second deployment to Afghanistan. And prior to Sloan, I was in the U.S. Army Special Forces. I worked on a 12-man team. And we were tasked to train the elite Afghan commandos in northern Afghanistan. And over those 2 years, made some great relationships. We'd done some great things, done some great training, done some great missions. So it really came as no surprise to me and the rest of my team that on September 25th of 2011 of that year, that we were asked to go to northwest Afghanistan and do a valley clearing operation. So this valley clearing operation, what it would entail is we kind of get dropped off at one end of a valley and we just kind of go through till the end. The particular valley that we were going to have to clear was about 4 kilometers long. There's a couple villages in there. You know, we would just go in, go to the villages, talk to the people, see if there's any weapons there, see what was going on, get to the other end of the valley, get picked up, go home, probably do it again 2 or 3 days. Groundhog Day, basically. And we did everything that we had to do for this. We did all the rehearsal, we took a look at all the photography, everything. Pretty well trained, something we'd done a couple hundred times. So we got dropped off in the pre-dawn hours, and about 2 minutes into the mission, I took a look at the valley and just said, fuck, this is going to suck. Didn't look anything like the photography. I think it had been photoshopped there. It had these huge mountains on each side of the valley. The valley was lush, green. It was right towards the end of summer. It looked like the valley had pretty much been designed to fight in. So about 1 hour into the clearing operation, my teammate and his Afghan soldiers started to take contact. And so what entailed after that was a 10-hour firefight that went on back and forth all day long. Now there was it heightened at certain points, there was lulls at certain points. I even took a nap at one point. But about the 10th hour though, I found myself on a rooftop. And one of my other teammates and his squad of Afghans was getting ready to cross an open field to get to a building that we thought we were taking fire from. Now, I'm sure everybody here can imagine crossing an open field during a firefight is an incredibly dangerous thing to do. So myself, in my infinite wisdom at 27 years old, thinking that I was just completely indestructible, decided that I was going to stand on top of the roof and draw fire to my position because I thought that I had less of a chance to get shot than they did going through the open field. So they start their movement to the building. I stand up on the roof, and I start to walk around the roof. And bullets start landing near my feet, going past my head. I have my Afghan soldiers up there. I don't think they could have gotten any closer to the roof. They were laying there pretty much flat like this. I think they wanted to cut the buttons off of their top to get closer to the ground. And once my buddy and once my teammate and the Afghan soldiers made it into the building, the fire picked up even a little more and started to get so intense that, I looked down at my Afghan soldier and I said, if we don't get off this roof, we're going to get shot. And the guy didn't speak a lick of English, but he knew exactly what I said because he moved off that roof the quickest I had seen that guy move in 2 years. And so what I had intended to do was to get off of the roof, go around the building, reconsolidate my soldiers, and start to push forward through this riverbed that was in front of us that we were starting to take a lot of fire from. And went around, got off the roof, I was the last guy, went around the corner of the building, trying to get a little bit of a vantage point. We were kind of on a higher part, we were going to be going down the slope into the riverbed. And I stood up there for just a little bit too long. And right when I was ready to move down to start getting my soldiers, I felt the greatest pain that I'd ever felt in my entire life. And for a split second, I was like, I think you might have just gotten shot. But I didn't know because I had never been shot before. But then I quickly realized, yes, I had indeed been shot. I fell right to the ground. My helmet flew off. My earphones flew off. And I was just sitting there just trying to stay conscious from the blinding pain. And then quickly snap back into reality, crawl back, put my headphones on, called up to my team, let them know that I'd been shot, gave them my location. A couple minutes went by. It seemed like a couple years. I got back on my radio, called my team, said, hey, look, you guys got to get to me right now. And I found out later the reason why they couldn't get to me at that point was because they were pinned down by fire. But then what happened next, something that nobody here probably hears about in the news. And it was a very reaffirming act for me. Because for so long, I had questioned why I was spending so much time away from my family, why I was constantly putting my life in harm's way. You know, what was the point of me being in Afghanistan all the time, constantly training these guys? Frustration, frustration, frustration to no end. But when I got off the radio the second time, I looked up, and there was one of the Afghan soldiers I had been training for 2 years coming out to me in the open to help save my life. And in that instant, any doubt that I had ever had about what I had done those 2 years in Afghanistan, the time I'd spent away from my family, or the choices that I made was answered in that second right there, where that soldier that I had trained for all that time risked his life to come and save mine. He took me by my gear, he dragged me behind the house, and my teammates started to trickle into me and started providing me some medical care. You know, my teammates didn't know this at the time, but I was in earshot of everything they were saying. And guys were going up to the medics saying, hey, is Kevin going to make it? I said, I think the medic's like, I don't know, this looks pretty bad, man. Little did they know that I heard that the entire time. Guys were coming up to me, telling me they loved me. Guys who never paid me a compliment in 3 years. Tear running down their face saying, man, I love you. I started to think to myself, like, wow, you know, this is pretty serious. You've had a lot of close calls before, but this time the bullet's inside of you, and you know what? I think you're probably going to die here. So from the time I got shot to the time I ended up getting operated on was 45 minutes. And those 45 minutes offered me the best insight into my life that I'll probably ever have. When every minute that goes by, every second that passes by, you think is most likely going to be your last one, the perspective that you gain on your life is incredible. And I started to ask myself questions like, you know, was I the man I wanted to be? Did I stand up for what I believed in? Did I practice my faith the way I wanted to believe in? Did I maintain my relationships with the people that I love the most? It was a trying time for me to really see if I had been living my life the way that I had wanted to. And once my teammates stabilized me, they brought me to the helicopter, had about a 10 or 15 minute flight to the helicopter. When we got there, the surgeon started cutting off my uniform. He's asking me a bunch of questions, and then he finally says, do you have any questions? And I said, hey, am I going to live or not? And he's like, it looks pretty bad, man. But we're going to do what we can, and just hang in there. So, do you have any last requests? So I really thought I was going to die, so I asked for a Catholic priest to give me my last rites. And then I said, if I survive, though, I want the bullet. And I actually have the bullet at home. And then after I made that last request, he put the mask over my face. And I woke up 4 days later at Launchville Regional Medical Center in Germany. And when I got there, I was in intensive care. And I got shot here right in the stomach. The bullet went through. And I pulled my pants down and show you where they took it out of, but I'm sure you can imagine. The bullet fractured my hip. I had my stomach cut open. I had 20% of my colon removed. I had tubes hanging out of me. I was on so many drugs I wasn't sure if it was a cartoon or reality. And eventually I had to get this scar here on my leg for one of the surgeries that I had. So pretty serious situation. I'm in the intensive care unit there, you know. A couple days ago I was in Afghanistan in a field hospital thinking I was going to die. It just happened to be by chance that one of my buddies was in Germany. He was convalescing from some of his wounds. He had gotten hit with 2 grenades and got shot, so I felt kind of wimpy that I only got shot once. But he came in to see me, see how I was doing. He exchanged some pleasantries real quick. And then he gave me the best advice that I had ever gotten in my probably the entire life, and the advice that helped me get through all of this. He looked me square in the eye and said, Kevin, plenty of people have been shot. Don't be a fucking pussy about this. And that's what's got me through my recovery. That's what got me through the admissions process. That's what got me through my denial to the other school down the street, to getting waitlisted at this school, to getting back in, to getting through the core with a newborn week before midterms, and then to the point that I'm at here, talking in front of everybody. So thank you very much.